This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Monday, September 14th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, President Donald Trump visiting California to view the scene of some of those huge wildfires that have devastated multiple states in the western United States. And while those fires are raging, the Gulf Coast is getting ready for another major storm as Hurricane Sally prepares to come ashore. The manhunt underway after 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies were shot in their squad car. And Israel getting ready to formalize historical peace agreements with not 1 but 2 Arab countries. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with those massive wildfires along the West Coast, as the fires across 12 western states have already burned an area roughly the size of New Jersey, with the death toll now at least 35. President Trump is visiting California today to see some of the areas affected by the year's already record-breaking fire season. That visit coming amid a disagreement over what's caused the fires. We have this in-depth report from CBN's Chuck Holton, who is on the scene in California.
The landscape is truly apocalyptic. Millions of acres of forest are burning along the West Coast, the smoke blotting out the sun. Dozens have died, and officials fear that number could go much higher. Here in Yosemite National Park, the normally breathtaking scenery is hidden by a choking layer of smoke and falling ash, and the fire season is only getting started. The Creek Fire in the Sierra National Forest is keeping 1,600 firefighters busy day and night, but considering its size, locals say that's not nearly enough.
The whole area for miles around burned, and it burned Monday, I believe. So I'm worried about my stock. Hasn't got anything to eat for 4 or 5 days. I'm hoping to get back as soon as the officers and officials will let me in. The smoke coming from this 175,000 acre fire is almost overwhelming up here, just about an hour to the east of Fresno, California. And it's blanketing all of Southern California, all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, according to some of the officials who say that this blanket of smoke is part of what is helping to contain this fire.
The one thing that we're trying to share with folks is that while this smoke is a real burden, and it's not any fun to have your community socked in smoke and be breathing this, it's actually doing a lot of good because it's moderating fire behavior substantially. And that's giving us a chance to try to get out in front of this thing.
The Trump administration has dedicated more than 26,000 personnel to assist, dozens of grants paying for fire suppression and to help rebuild.
My administration is closely coordinating with state and local leaders, and we want to thank the more than 200,000 people that are working on it, and 28,000 firefighters and first responders who courageously and bravely are fighting out there. They are fighting, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's a rapidly spreading hundreds of thousands of acres.
But in many places, residents aren't waiting for government help. They're helping each other to try and save their communities.
So the other day I put out a call and to have some friends come help me on our property, brush in case there's fire. The Creek Fire comes this way because the fire departments are short. And man, I have 12 guys showed up and 4 other guys on the other side cutting line, and it's just amazing. These guys are making the road wider and just making it so the fire department comes in, they have an easier time to try to stop the fire coming down.
Touring the fire zone last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom blamed the carnage on climate change.
We're in the midst of a climate emergency. We're in the midst of a climate crisis. We are experiencing weather conditions the likes of which we've never experienced in our lifetime. If you do not believe in science, I hope you believe in observed evidence.
But some firefighters say it has more to do with bad policy.
The forests are just unhealthy. They've been progressively becoming unhealthy throughout my career, because when I first started, we used to do logging, which helped thin out the forest, and I guess political pressure from environmentalists, they stopped the logging. But the consequences of that is the forests are all overstocked now. So you just can't go outside if you see a fire in your mountain community and think you're going to stop it with a few local people that are growing too large too fast.
President Trump agrees and is visiting affected areas Monday.
But you know, it is about forest management. Please remember the words, very simple. Forest management, please remember.
Despite the massive response from state and federal governments, the fires continue to rage out of control, and residents here are continuing to pray for the best and prepare for the worst.
I've been a firefighter for about 34 years now, wildland mostly, and I've seen a lot of wildfires, but I haven't seen any fires like this that have been so widespread up and down throughout the state. We are getting ready in advance of the fire that may or may not come this way, but we're doing the hazard reduction that we need to do to fortify the community here and make it safe. And they're doing a good job of it so far. We're well organized, but like I said, I haven't seen any fires like this in a long time.
Chuck Holton, CBN News, Sugar Pine, California.
Another natural disaster threatens a different part of the country as millions of people along the Gulf Coast are getting ready for Hurricane Sally. The storm bringing the potential dangers of deadly flooding and high winds. Forecasters from the National Hurricane Center in Miami expect Sally to become a hurricane today and come ashore early Tuesday, bringing as much as 20 inches of rain. The potential for severe weather stretches from the western Florida panhandle to southeast Louisiana. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered in Mississippi and Louisiana.
We have really good reason to be very concerned about this storm, particularly because it is going to be a very slow-moving storm.
I mean, after Katrina, anything around here and anything on the water, you're going to take serious. You know, you can't take anything lightly.
Emergency teams in Mississippi warned that Sally was expected to coincide with a high tide, leading to a significant storm surge. Now we want to take a look from AccuWeather at Hurricane Sally and where it's expected to come ashore.
It has been an active hurricane season, and thus far we're still remaining pretty active. Take a look at the Atlantic. We have waves, tropical storms, and we're even continuing to see once again Paulette moving through portions of Bermuda, but we're going to be concerned about Sally here in the United States, which has already brought some extensive rainfall across the Florida Keys, over 11 inches, near 12 inches across portions of the Florida Keys over the weekend. We will likely see some major flooding here throughout Interstate 10, including New Orleans leading through Panama City, and we're also looking at the risk for damaging winds and storm surge. That's exactly why we're under a hurricane warning in New Orleans. As we take a look at Tropical Storm Sally moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour, wishing it would go a bit faster, it does have the chance to slow down as it continues to creep closer to the Mississippi Delta there. We are going to be concerned about this becoming a Category 1 hurricane, gaining strength as we head into late tonight and moving through our Tuesday. As it continues to interact with land and pull further to the north and to the east into later this week, it will downgrade, but that slow progression will leave us worried about some extensive rainfall. As we lead through to your Monday, we're noticing heavy rain and thunderstorm activity, really limited, but there will start to be some showers and thunderstorms throughout the Florida Peninsula, and we'll continue to see that lift along Interstate 10 through the Florida Panhandle, moving through Alabama, and eventually some of that wet weather will start to swing a little further to the west, but it seems like the heaviest of that moisture is out to the east, and we'll continue to monitor rainfall totals, potentially up to 8 inches in that darker shade of green. We are forecasting an AccuWeather local storm max in that darker shade of green at the immediate coast up to 24 inches. Outside of that, winds will also be a concern. We see gusts potentially up to 100 miles per hour and storm surge once again at that immediate coastline where Sally is likely to make landfall, 6 to 10 feet across portions of coastal Louisiana. And when we're not in the center of that storm, we can still see storm surge throughout Panama City, 1 to 3 feet. This will lead to extensive property damage. In our AccuWeather real impact scale, we're going with a 2. This includes wind, flooding, rain, storm surge, and economic loss. We are anticipating moderate flooding, significant damage to that immediate coastline. So if you're out to New Orleans, Mobile, and even further to the north in Hattiesburg, we are looking at the risk for that flooding, rainfall, and damaging winds to bring in some long-term impacts.
I want to head back to California now, where authorities are searching for a gunman who shot and wounded 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies as they were sitting in their squad car at a Metro rail station in an apparent ambush. Dale Hurd brings us this story.
The LA County Sheriff's Department has announced a $100,000 reward for the arrest of the gunman, and the shooting has already become a campaign issue. 2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies are fighting for their lives after being shot multiple times Saturday night. Disturbing surveillance video showed a man dressed in black walk up to the deputy's vehicle near the Compton Metro station and then fire a gun multiple times into the car before running away.
He acted as if he was going to walk past the car, and then he made a left turn directly toward the car, raised a pistol, and fired several rounds inside of the vehicle, striking both of the sheriff's deputies.
The deputies are a 31-year-old mother of a 6-year-old and a 24-year-old man who was sworn in only 14 months ago. After the shooting, demonstrators then went to the hospital and tried to block the emergency room entrance. One shouted that he hoped the deputies died.
They were saying death to the police, kill the police, and they were using all type of curse words and derogatory terms about the police.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti said there's no place in civilized society for someone to shoot law enforcement officers.
I won't ever let a couple voices that not only are uncalled for, but it's abhorrent to say something like that when we have two deputies who are sheriff deputies in grave condition.
President Trump and Joe Biden both tweeted condemnations of the attack early Sunday. Then Biden tweeted again calling for a ban on assault weapons, while Trump called the shootings part of the war on the police.
The radical left in America is waging open war on law enforcement. Hundreds of officers nationwide have been injured in left-wing riots and mobs.
This takes place amid violent protests nationwide and calls for defunding of police by leftist groups, including the Black Lives Matter movement, which is openly Marxist.
Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
Thankfully, both deputies are expected to recover. President Trump has called for the gunman to be arrested and, if convicted, executed. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Coming up, Israel getting ready to make official 2 historic peace agreements with Arab countries, not only with the United Arab Emirates, now also with Bahrain. We're going to bring you a look at these important peace deals when we come back. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Israel's Prime Minister is in Washington for tomorrow's signing of the historic peace agreements with not one but two Arab countries. As CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell reports, this follows Friday's announcement that Bahrain was joining the United Arab Emirates in normalizing relations with the Jewish state.
Netanyahu called it a pivot of history toward peace.
It took us a full 26 years from Israel's second peace agreement with an Arab state to the third peace agreement. And now it's taken us only 29 days from the third peace agreement to the fourth. What a change.
That followed last month's announcement by the United Arab Emirates they would normalize ties with Israel. Netanyahu says the achievements will make a major impact for all involved.
This is a new era of peace for which I've been working for 25 years. These agreements will be a union of political peace and economic peace. They will flow billions of dollars into our economy and investments, economic cooperation and ventures.
President Trump broke the news that Bahrain would join the peace effort.
They will exchange embassies and ambassadors, begin direct flights between their countries, and launch cooperation initiatives across a broad range of sectors, including health, business, technology, education, security, and agriculture. This is a truly historic day.
American Rabbi Mark Schneier says there was more than one factor pushing the agreements forward at this time.
First, you have this raging pandemic. It's only a natural alliance for the Gulf and for Israel to combat this virus together. You have the existentialist threat that continues to come from Iran, wanting to strengthen relations with the U.S. administration, and both the UAE and Bahrain were very concerned about the possibility of annexation on the part of the State of Israel. That was one of the contributing factors that created the tension to make this deal.
Schneier told CBN News the deals would be good for everyone.
When the King of Bahrain said to me time and time again that our only guarantee for a strong, moderate Arab presence in the Gulf is a strong Israel, the Gulf is looking to the State of Israel to be its defender, to be its protector.
Trump will preside over Tuesday's signing and says it's only the beginning, and indicated he expected others to follow quickly.
The momentum in the Gulf is to normalize ties, to make peace with Israel. It's a win-win, both for the Gulf and for the State of Israel.
There are 4 more Gulf states and other Muslim countries that could make peace with Israel. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
And Israel's leaders announced the country will be forced into yet another full lockdown in the hopes that it will lower the skyrocketing number of cases and the death rate of COVID-19. Prime Minister Netanyahu said the lockdown will begin at 2 p.m. this Friday, just before the celebrations of the Jewish New Year and Rosh Hashanah. The first phase of the lockdown will extend for 3 weeks. After that, authorities will reassess the situation. Still ahead, the U.S. has long accepted refugees fleeing from foreign countries due to persecution, violence, or poverty. But that has changed in the last 3 years. Now the Trump administration is being asked to change that. We're going to have the story for you when we come back.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. For decades, the United States had a strong record of welcoming those fleeing poverty, violence, and persecution in their home countries. But in the last 3 years, the U.S. has dramatically reduced the number of refugees allowed into the country. As Heather Sells now reports, refugee advocates are asking the Trump administration to reverse that trend.
Around the world, nearly 30 million refugees are looking for a home after fleeing a dangerous homeland. More than half are children, and many live in crowded camps with no school. Blessing, an orphan and victim of trafficking, fled her country at age 12.
It was very difficult to survive, and where I wasn't safe.
For almost 40 years, the U.S. has welcomed an average of 95,000 refugees a year. In the last 3, however, the Trump administration sharply reduced that annual number to the current 18,000 for 2020.
Refugee resettlement numbers are now at an all-time low in the United States. And what that has meant is that people in harm's way who literally have no other option for safety, some have died. Some are still in harm's way. Many have been promised by the United States that they would be able to be reunited with their family members. These are people who have already been vetted, who have already been approved, who were supposed to come in 2017 and are still without safety, are still not with their families.
Despite the reduced numbers, the administration still promotes its commitment to international religious freedom. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told CBN's David Brody last year the focus is to create safety for refugees in their home countries.
You know, we're still the most generous, welcoming nation anywhere in the world. Our objective has been to try and do what those people really want in most cases, which is to stay in their own country.
Refugee advocates dispute that generosity, especially as refugees still suffer because of their faith.
The administration has claimed to support people who are fleeing religious persecution, and yet, with the numbers, we're seeing such few refugees coming in. There are only 946 Christians fleeing religious persecution resettled this year, which is the lowest it's ever been.
Blessing is now finishing high school and says she's grateful that the U.S. accepted her.
America is a place where dreams really come true. Like, if you work hard, if you're determined and you're focused, you can actually achieve what you really want.
The State Department must decide by October 1st how many refugees it will admit next year. It must also consult with Congress. So far, no meeting has been set. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Coming up, as Louisiana prepares for another hit by a new hurricane, parts of the state are still recovering from the devastation caused by Hurricane Laura last month. But CBN's Operation Blessing is on the scene. We're going to tell you how they are helping one hospital to reopen. We've got the story for you when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Hurricane Laura caused nearly $12 billion in damage in Louisiana after it came ashore as an extremely powerful Category 4 storm early morning of August 27th. The city of Lake Charles was especially hard hit by Laura's devastation. CBN's Operation Blessing has been on the scene since the storm hit. Avail Hospital was the first to reopen thanks to a reverse osmosis machine that was set up by Operation Blessing. The machine creates pure water from the city's contaminated water. It was the only way the hospital could have opened up again. Dr. Dharmesh Patel, who runs the hospital, expressed deep gratitude for Operation Blessing's hard work in bringing that equipment from Virginia, setting it up and getting it running so the hospital's patients can have clean water.
The amount of effort and work that took place with the Operation Blessing and their entire team was extraordinary. The effort and the generosity and the caring nature of everyone that came in to help was above and beyond what anyone could ever ask for.
Dr. Patel thanked Operation Blessing for helping a community that has experienced such complete devastation. I want to let you know that you can find out more about what Operation Blessing is doing around the world by visiting ob.org. Before we say goodbye, it is time now for your Monday Motivation. And today, I'd like to leave you with this thought. God's plan and purpose for your life are so much bigger than you. They are designed to bless others and to lift others. With that in mind, you've got no time to waste. The lives of others are calling on you to get silent, listen to hear what God is calling you to do, and then see the vision and be sure to get busy working and being about your Father's business. The lives of others are depending on you. God is calling on you this day to get to work. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you that you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. Now, we would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. Feel free to email us at the address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a marvelous Monday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.